Hello. Let's talk about the books that I'm getting rid of. The first two kind of go together and they might be like a little bit controversial, but that is People We Meet on Vacation and Book Lovers, both by Emily Henry. These were the romances, and Book Lovers follows a cutthroat literary agent named Nora Stevens, who's very girl boss and very like the girlfriend that gets dumped in the Hallmark movies for the guys who go to these small towns and meet these like small town girls, if that makes any sense. And her sister convinces her to go to like Bumblefuck, North Carolina, and while they're there she meets someone and romance ensues. And then for the People We Meet on Vacation, this book follows, it's like friends to lovers. It follows these two best friends who haven't spoken together in a while, but they used to go on these crazy vacations together. So they go on one more vacation together and things continue on from there. Now, I liked both of these books. I think I rated this one a 3, this one like a 4-star. But I'm just not a big romance reader. And I know I'm not going to pick them up again. I don't really think I'm going to recommend them to anyone. I might just unhaul them by giving them to my mom because I think she'll like them. But other than that, I just don't feel like I need them on my shelves. Next, there are a couple that I haven't read, so I just want to go through those like much faster because I don't know as much about them. The first is The Ghost, A Cultural History by Susan Owens. This is a nonfiction book that's all about like the idea of ghost in British culture. I thought it sounded really interesting, but when I did try to read this one I DNF'd. When I read it, it was just so fucking boring because it's just like all these quotes from all these old texts and stuff that talk about ghosts. Like, it's not like an anthropological approach, it's like English centered. Like English literature centered. So it's just all these quotes about ghosts from random old books, and that's the whole thing. And it's so boring to read, it's so dense, it's just not worth it, and it was a very big disappointment, so I'm excited to be getting rid of this. Next we have Slasher Girls and Monster Boys. This is an anthology of a bunch of young adult horror short stories. I was really excited about this when I bought this in like 2016. But I just don't read YA anymore, and I'm just not interested in this. I've considered having it on my shelf so I could do like a reading books I don't think I'll like thing, but I don't want to read books I don't think I'll like. So I don't want to do that, so I'm getting rid of this. Another book I just haven't read, Sweeney Todd. Why did I buy this? It's just the script for the play Sweeney Todd. And then it has some pictures of like an original cast or something in it. I don't know. I don't know why I bought this. I bought this when I was like 14. It's been on my shelf ever since. I don't need it. I'm just gonna get rid of it. And the next one is the last one that I haven't read. It's very hard for me to get rid of books I haven't read because I just feel like I spent my money on them. I need to get my money's worth. But I'm trying to make some room on my shelf, so some deep cuts have to be made. And the next is The Burning White by Brent Weeks. This is like the 4th or 5th book in Black Prism series. It's something, the Lightbringer series. I don't know where I got Black Prism from. But this is a high fantasy series that has this magic system that's based on light. So it's like, you know how light can be fractured into like red, orange, like the colors of the rainbow? Well, in this world, that's how the magic system works. Everyone has like a certain, like not everyone, but people who have magic have like a certain color they can wield, and each color does a different thing. And there's only one person who can control every single color. But then as you use your magic, it slowly kills you at the same time. That's all I remember. And that's because I started the series so long ago. It's been years since I picked up the last book. And I think I have like 2 more huge books to go and then I finish the series. But at this point I don't really want to. A, because it's been so long. B, I'm just not that interested in it anymore. And C, I've heard some people say that this series is actually very sexist. And I could totally see myself overlooking that when I was younger, but I don't feel like dealing with that now. So that's a wrap for this series for me. Next we have The Vegetarian by Han Kong. This book follows a woman in South Korea who one day has like these nightmares and decides to become a vegetarian overnight, and her whole family just goes insane on her for becoming a vegetarian. Well, she does start to act more peculiar and weird on top of that. There's a lot about like the suppression of individuality, stuff like that. I wanted to like this book so fucking bad, but I didn't. I do think I ended up giving it 3 stars just to like be nice, but in reality it's definitely more like a 2-star book for me. I was very disappointed, and I don't want to keep books that I'm not that into on my shelves because I have very limited shelf space and I need it for more better books. After that we have Woman Talking by Miriam Toews, I don't know. This book follows a bunch of Mennonite women, and for 2 years they were visited in the night by demons who assaulted them. And then after a couple of years went by, they found out that it was actually the men of their village that were sexually assaulting them in their sleep after they had drugged them. It was very heavy. This book does not follow those events, but it takes place afterwards when these women are gathering in a barn and deciding whether they should stay where they are or leave. This is another book I did not like. It was just better in theory than execution. I found it very boring. There are a lot of things that I didn't like about this, and I just don't want it anymore. A Very Easy Death by Simone de Beauvoir. This book is basically like her musings on her mother's death. That's the gist. It's very short. There's not much going on in here. I love this cover, which is the reason I picked it up, and I still almost want to keep it just for the cover, but I'm not going to do that. This just didn't hit like I wanted it to. I don't know what it is about me, and like I feel like I'd be really interested in like musings on death, but it didn't really seem like it went into that as much. It was more so about like her relationship with her mother and just like the own like private stuff she was going through as her mother was dying, versus like grappling with so much more, like grappling with grief and stuff like that. At least that's what I took from it. It just didn't hit like I wanted it to. I wanted it to be more emo, more goth, and it wasn't. So Convenience Store Women by Sayaka Murata. This book follows a woman who's been working at a convenience store for 18 years. And it's just, she doesn't want anything more than that. She loves working in her convenience store. She's kind of odd. She's never had a boyfriend. She's not interested really in people or relationships. She kind of feels like she's always having to put on a show because she didn't know how to be a person. This book was interesting, but just didn't really capture my interest like I wanted it to. I don't think I'll recommend it to anyone. I don't think I'll want to reread it again, so I'm just gonna get rid of it. Next we have This Is How You Use the Time War by Amal E. Motar and Max Gladstone. I don't even know how to explain this book. There's like red and blue, these two beings, and they're on opposite sides of a time war, but at the same time they're growing closer with these letters that they're leaving each other. It sounds really interesting, but in execution it was just kind of confusing to read, and I couldn't really feel for the characters. I couldn't really like get into the story that much. So again, getting rid of it. Why Be Happy When You Can Be Normal by Jeanette Winterson. This is her memoir. It talks about her life growing up. Focuses heavily on her mother as a character and like how crazy her mother was. I remember liking this when I read it, but honestly it's just very forgettable, and there are much better memoirs out there that I would rather have on my shelf. Then we have Spinning Silver by Naomi Novik. This is like a twist on Rumpelstiltskin. And it follows this girl named Miriam whose family are money lenders, but her dad's like really shitty at her job and her family's really poor as a result because he never asks for the money back. So she takes it into her own hands. She starts this thriving business. Her family becomes very wealthy, but she attracts the notice of like this winter king from a different kingdom, and it's like this supernatural figure. And then he like abducts her and he has to make this deal with her for her freedom. This book is so long, and it really felt long. I just could not get into it even though I really wanted to, so goodbye. And then last but not least, Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. This isn't a bad book by any means. This is another book that I liked, but I just don't see myself rereading or recommending. This book follows two best friends. One is an award-winning, like, famous author who is in a more rural area trying to write her next book. And then her other friend, who I forget what she does, she just kind of hangs out, I guess. And it follows their relationship as they write these emails to each other, and the emails get very, very long and like philosophical and are very political and honestly kind of hard to follow along sometimes. Again, I liked it, just not enough to keep it. And there you go, those are all the books that I'm going to be getting rid of. I love doing a good book on haul. I love getting rid of some books. I love freeing up some space on my shelves. That's it. Thank you. Goodbye.